Well, welcome again to Testimony Tuesday. My name is Michael, and this is my lovely wife, Analia. For
Hi.
those of you who join us every week, welcome again. And if you're new, uh, this is a video we do every week, my wife, Analia, and I, and we talk a little bit about our marriage journey, and we're just here to walk with you and in your marriage, to move your marriage from a bad marriage into an outrageously happy marriage, or from a mediocre marriage to an outrageously happy marriage. And we're both believers, and we believe that there's really no reason that a husband and wife can't be outrageously happily married.
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to do is share a little bit with you on what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a wife overreacting, and this is our son Daniel. He's going to join us a little bit, and how and why a husband feels that his wife is overreacting, and sometimes even thinks that his wife is illogical or she's just not reasonable, and she just needs to see it his way and feel about certain things the way he feels about it. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my lovely wife, Analia.
It's really interesting, and when we were trying to discuss, or trying to decide, I should say, what topic we were going to present to you this week, we thought, well, let's talk about what's been coming up in the last few days with some couples that we've been talking with and working with. And one of the biggest things has been this very topic: husbands thinking their wives are totally being unreasonable or overreacting, or as Michael was saying, feeling that their wives are blaming them for something that happened to them that they did not even participate in. I'll give you an example. This weekend we were talking with a husband who said, "My wife told me last night that for the last 27 years of our marriage, she feels that she has been raped and murdered by me the entire time." And he says, "That is just ridiculous. I have never raped or murdered her or come anywhere near that, with her in my way of being. And, she's crazy. She's completely off her nut, whatever it is. She's psychotic." I think that word was bandied about a bit. And I told him, I said, if your wife were to be in a room with other women who'd been married or were still married, and she made that comment, I'm pretty sure that every woman there would be able to say something along the lines of, "I know exactly how you feel. I get it. Like, I just get it. And I said, a woman doesn't have to necessarily go through a particular experience with her husband to feel a certain way. And I was trying to explain to him that although you haven't raped or murdered your wife, rape and murder are a violation. And you have violated her heart time and time again over the course of 27 years of the marriage. And this is why she's feeling this way. And for her to use such strong language is kind of what Michael and I were kind of thinking. It's like shock and awe. Something to try to get him to understand, look, this is how you've been making me feel. A similar experience that Michael and I have had was I was sexually abused when I was a little girl. And although I've done a lot of personal work to get through that and get healed from that, in our bad days, especially before our third separation, that those memories kept coming up for me, and I couldn't figure out why. And did Michael sexually abuse me or physically abuse me or anything like my grandfather did? No, he didn't. But the way that he was being with me really brought up a feeling of not being in control, not having a voice, of basically not being able to be a willing participant, an active participant in the marriage, one that was valued and cherished and heard. So guys, if you think your wife is overreacting, what Michael and I definitely suggest you do is take a look at what you are initiating into the marriage at that moment. Because if you're initiating love and positive life and validation and cherishing, that's probably not going to be her reaction to you. But if you are coming home and you're starting an argument, you walked through the door, you didn't greet her, you didn't tell her that you loved her, you've been thinking about her, you haven't been with her in a Christ-like way, because that is what God calls you to do as a Christ-like husband, then you need to revisit that and really change how you are being with your wife. And definitely those feelings that you know, we're telling you about, that the wife said rape or murder or sexual abuse, she's not going to feel like that. So definitely take a look at that. She's not overreacting. She's not being psychotic. She's not telling lies or anything like that. She's trying to express to you a way that how you're being with her is making her feel.
And the interesting thing, when we're being with our wife in a way that, for instance, makes them feel scared,
Mm-hmm.
she has that feeling, and that feeling is linked to memories. And and that memory is linked to another memory, it's linked to another memory, and she'll remember, whether she's conscious of it or not, every time that she's felt scared.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking she's overreacting. She just isn't. A little interesting thing is, both men and women have emotions, and typically we know, just from life experience empirically, that women are typically a little more emotional. We're not saying that all women are more emotional than all men. We're just saying as a norm. And we're not saying that all men are logical, and that's the way they do life. They're doing life more logically
Mm-hmm.
and less emotionally. It's not true either, because there's a lot of men out there that are able to tap into their emotions and or wear their emotions on their sleeves. So,
Right here, this one.
yeah, so, yeah. I could watch a chick flick every now and then
That's
and
right.
survive it. So
And enjoy it.
yeah, and enjoy it. What we discovered through research is that, no, honey, you're not going to up there. Is that the blood flow in a woman's mind goes much deeper into the recesses of the mind that processes memories. Now, as a husband, we look at our wife when we're talking with them. We can't see the memories in her mind. We don't know what she's remembering. We're not even saying that our wives are always conscious of all of her memories where she felt scared. Since we're using that example, we're just what we're saying is that they're able to tap into that part of their mind,
Mm-hmm.
which you know invokes all of those emotions attached to
Exactly.
it. So when we're there was an argument where we're having where Annalia was talking about where I was making her feel controlled or out of control, and it made her remember how she felt when her grandfather, forgive me, was violating her. Was I doing that to her? No, absolutely not. However, I was scaring her and making her feel, um, making her feel out of control, and she felt like she was being controlled, and it scared her.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "You're making me feel like my grandfather made me feel." And she had already shared with me that, you know, that that memory she had of what had happened to her when she was 5 years old.
And
And
guys,
she could have, there's nothing worse that she could have said about me, because that's absolutely not how I want to be. And I didn't acknowledge it at the moment. I just thought I didn't like that I made her feel that scared. At the same time, I thought there's still her overreacting
mm-hmm.
because I had nothing to do with it.
Exactly, and
But
and
that was then.
yeah, that definitely was then, thank God, and not anymore. And guys, this is like Michael was talking about. The blood flow for a woman goes a lot deeper than it does for a man. That's why, if you have not brought healing and closure to a situation with your wife where you've hurt her by your actions or words, and then but some time has elapsed since it happened, and now there's a new hurt. That's why now you're not having to deal with the new hurt that she's experiencing. Now that's why the other one's coming up again, and you might say, well, that happened a couple of years ago. Well, for her, it's still very fresh because there's been no closure. And we'll talk about that more in the months to come. So for now, thank you so much for
Mm-hmm.
joining us today. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you being
Patient with her
yeah,
baby
with
Daniel.
our little one here, and we look forward to hearing you maybe on our call tonight. When you get on, if you go to our blog, yourmarriagerestored.com, go to the sidebar, you'll see all the dial-in information for our marriage ministry call, which takes place tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for
Thank
watching.
you.
We'll see you next week.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.